Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am your host, Allison Lee. I am here with Ms. Cindy Pope because you're going to learn the basics using the Silhouette software. I would say buckle your seatbelt because you're going to want to learn it all and then you're going to want to take more classes. That is my warning to all of you. I'm just saying. And because of that, because I know you're going to want to have that happen, I always like to give people who come to a live class a coupon code to use. So Basics 20 will take 20% off when you go to CraftCast and you want to buy a bunch of stuff. It'll take 20% off when you check out. I just want to say one other small thing. They were updating today, which is April 24th, some issues with the passwords, I believe it was, on the site. If you have a problem, just send an email over to support@craftcast.com. We'll make sure it goes through. We'll make sure that your coupon code works. I'm just saying that was going on this morning, so I just want to put that out there. The code is basics20 right there on the screen. Make sure everyone, if you can see your screen and hear us, that is good. There is the support address that's been put in the chat box. And Misty will put in the handout that goes along with this class. But not to worry. The recording will be on the CraftCast site. It is free. You can also then, when you go shopping, put it in your cart so you have the recording as well for free. Beth just said she's brain dead. She didn't see it. No, 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 no. You're just like all of us. We're all in the same tribe, so no worries. Oh, hi, Nettie, who just came on. Nettie helped so much when we were going over some other problems with coding and things, and help point some things out that we got to fix. So, all right. So with that being said, today you're going to learn all about the Silhouette software. I'd love to know, as I go to this next frame before we start the recording, how many people have craftcast.com is where you're going to go to buy everything. So there you go. But how many people have the Silhouette software already? Just put in a yes, 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 just so we can see. Okay. All right. You do. Okay. Oh, you got the pro version. Great. All right. Good. So lots of you probably have the free version. Some of you have the pro version. Okay. Amy, you're going to want to get it. Nettie, you're going to want to get it.
And it's free,
Business.
which is very nice for if you want to test drive it. I like to test drive things. So this is the free version is what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so get the free version. Okay. All right, now I have another question. How many people are like stumped on some things or wondering why the frig isn't this working? Or I can't figure this one out. How many people has that happened to? Okay, I'm seeing yeses. Yeses, thumbs up. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, good. All right. Constantly. All right. So that's, yep. Okay, good. All right, you're too new, Bree. All right, just wait, you'll see. All right, that's sort of what I thought. So this is what's great. And then this is great to keep in your library to refer back to. I know what I'm talking about because that's how I've learned from Cindy. I'll hear her in the back of my head when I'm stuck on something, her saying something, or I look at another, I pull up a video. Um, so Patrick, oh, I see what you're saying. No, you have Brother Machine with its software. All right. So try this. You know, we're fans of the Silhouette software. Some Silhouette machines, or actually, let me clarify that. Silhouette software, certain versions. Silhouette machines, certain versions. And the Cricut machine, which there is no software. So we've learned to combine it all. And that's what we like to promote here because we get tired of people getting frustrated and not being able to make anything. I'm going to show you something right now. People who are seeing this in the recording, you won't see it because I'm showing it live on a camera. But at the end of our class today, which should take about 30 minutes, I also said, oh, quick, make something with the Silhouette software that you can print out on the Cricut. So I'm obviously flower freaking out right now. So I did a quick Zinnia. So I just wanted to show that the Silhouette software plays very nicely with the Cricut machine. So it doesn't matter whatever you have. I did put in, let me just promote this one more time. If you like that flower, just go support this woman over on Etsy. I used her file. I did play with it, which you can do in Silhouette software, which is great, and played with different sizes. But she had it on sale, and I thought I loved that Zinnia. So there you go. Yes, put all of your questions in the chat box, and we will pause and take questions in certain places. Let's start with one question here. Nettie, you have a Brother ScanCut 2 and a Curio, but not working with it yet. Okay, I understand. A lot of people come and watch the classes that Cindy teach. Just to even get it out of the box, because it's overwhelming, and we like to help everyone. So with that, our guru, our fearless leader, our person in the know, the person who leads us down this path, is here today to teach us all the basics from Silhouette Software. So big applause for Ms. Cindy Pope as she's going to walk us through things here. Just take a deep breath, take it all in. This is why we record it, so we can watch it twice. So thank you so much, Ms. Pope.
Can we talk about machines a little bit further in? Because I think it's important. It's not, people are a little unclear about what machines.
Go ahead. Go for it. Talk about machines.
Well, I use all the Silhouette machines except for the newest version of machines because I've not tested them and I never want my students. The best machine in the world is the original Curio. The Curio 2 is not a replacement for the original Curio. I have Cameos, Curios, and Portrait. The Portrait 3, which you can buy over at Cool Tools, is also an amazing machine. What we've been playing with, Allison is a big fan of Cricut, and every time I do a class, the Cricut people send us notes and say, please, 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 help us. And so I bought one at Christmas. I haven't got time to, I think I'm going to be able to translate because I know Allison put some really cool things that I made. We worked on it together, and then I just sent her the file, and there's a file called an SVG. So if your Brother ScanCut uses an SVG, but if it just scans a piece of paper, you can design something gorgeous using this software and then just print it out.
So what she's saying, I took the files that Cindy made that she was printing out of a Silhouette machine, whatever, and I just took them, printed out of the Cricut so we could show people that it worked both ways. And Kathy just typed something in there, which is great. Silhouette software is great for your Glowforge if you have a laser, because the bottom line is you're making SVG files, and that's universal to work on all the cutting machines. So that's an important thing. Once you understand that helps a lot.
And this software is super. Number one, they have a free version, which I love, but it's super flexible, and I learn new things every day and make beautiful, pretty, colorful designs, and then do really pretty things with metal clay. So it's a fun machine.
It is. So
our software and machine.
Yeah. Play with the software first. We can always give advice on maybe what machine you want, depending on what it is you want to make. We try a lot of things here. So with that, I will go ahead. Let's go into the video. Are you ready, Cindy?
I'm ready.
Okay, we're all going to take a breath. And breathe as we take it all in.
Okay, so I'm going to just kind of give you the basics about the software. First thing I'm going to talk about is page settings. So if you have, and this is for Silhouette machines. So if you have a certain Silhouette machine, you want the little mat that you put your project on to look just like the page. So most of my students have Curios, Cameos, and Portraits. So if you're using a portrait or a Curio, you want to make sure it looks exactly like it. There is a 12-inch Curio mat, which you can't get anymore, base. But most of them are just this little small thing, which is perfect for, really, I use it for everything, but it's perfect for metal clay because you don't need a big giant mat for anything for metal clay.
Oh, you know what? We should also put in, let me pause for 1 second. Let's put in the chat box there, the link over at Cool Tools, if you have that, Misty, for the kit for the portrait. You can get a kit that's set up that Cindy worked with Cool Tools to buy that kit. There's also another version that gives you all the stuff you need for metal clay to start. There's 2 different kits. So
yeah, and it's all the things that, like you need they're things that you need for metal clay and rolling out the clay and all the different things. And we had a Curio kit, and then they stopped making the Curio 1, which was a sad day. But they put the effort into redoing the videos. So, and the portrait I've been using a lot. We used it in our step-by-step class, and I showed everything side by side. So,
and you know what's great about the portrait is the size. It's like
it's so light.
Yeah. So if
Super
you're
light.
doing jewelry and clay and not big vinyl projects or something like that, that portrait is great because it doesn't take up any space. So I'm just saying that as well. And so back to this, we're going to match what your
So
page should look like to your
yeah, your
computer there.
page should look like your real mat. I have
Right,
a little document I give to you in the step-by-step class, and it's like stop before you send,
right.
because a lot of people send and it's the wrong mat for the machine they're using. And if you have 10 machines like me, you have to really pay attention to that.
Right.
But it might default to this. And sometimes I make the mat really, really big to design, and then I go down to the actual mat. So
That's a
I'm
good
going to
point
talk
too.
to you. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to talk to you about the page settings. You can show the grid or not show the grid.
All right, let me run
Um,
the video here and
okay.
we'll take questions again soon. So don't worry, everyone.
And then you can choose different colors for the dividers. I like to be able to see what an inch is, just spatially for me. And so you can do an inch, and I recommend breaking it up into two parts then. I don't think if you get too small, it's hard to see an inch.
Okay.
The biggest problem people have when I do classes is selecting shapes. So I'm going to talk to you about drawing, selecting shapes, and filling shapes.
So when
And
you mean selecting a shape, it's like, are you selecting a circle? Are you selecting a square? The actual selection of that
no,
shape.
like if you drew 15 shapes,
Okay.
how would you go and choose one on the screen
Got it. Okay.
and do something to it, like put a pattern in
Got
it?
it. So just highlighting it is what you're referring to at this point, which I
Yeah.
agree. There is a little trick to that. All right. More to
And we're going to
learn.
draw too. We're going to show the
Okay.
drawing.
All right.
So on the left-hand side is all your drawing tools, and this is for the basic version. And it's really cool. They let teachers go teach at whatever version their students have. So we're going to talk about page settings, which we did, group versus compound path, and all the icons. So on the left are the icons. I'm going to choose the curvy tool one, which lets me draw like a pencil, but it curves it. And that's what I use a lot when I'm creating metal clay earring shapes. So you can see it gives it it's not straight. You can also do a straight one, but I kind of like this. You can also just draw a circle, and you hit shift and left mouse to make it symmetrical. But it does a circle, and you can change the sizes, but I kind of design big and then adjust it down, probably because of my age. So up at the top is called, if you could pause for a second, up at the top is something that's called the Smart Bar, and this was something they introduced with version 4. We were so excited we did a whole class on version 4 because all of a sudden, if you select a shape, everything you might want to do with that shape is listed across the top. So what I just did is I said, I drew this circle, but I really want it to be 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. I just typed that in. If I can move it over, I can center things, I can do a lot of really cool things. It's very intuitive because if you have it selected, it said, here's the things you might like to do,
And you
which,
can see right up there where it says W, fill in
yeah.
2.5, H 2.5. So you can actually type in, which for some projects you might want an exact measurement.
And when I first started using version 2 of the Silhouette software, none of these things were available. And I had not taken the time to learn them. So I was like handicapped in my,
No, it's
silhouetting
great.
till I learned on the internet with people who do paper crafting. I learned all about the software.
And I'm going to tell everyone, don't feel overwhelmed. Well, you feel overwhelmed with everything, but as you work with the software, you'll find the things that you most need to know. And you'll think about those. You don't need to know everything. So there you go. All right, should we move on?
Yeah. And so now I'm going to show you the last little cool special shape. And this is a pentagon shape. And if you get the next version up, I think 2 versions up, you'll have a bunch of these shapes. But what it does is it changed the number of sides. I think this was a really cool thing. You can have 24 sides. And you can also, once you've got your shape, you can hit click and touch one of those dots and it'll make it go up and down. And it's really a super cool thing because you can adjust a shape. And then I just convert it to a path. We call it a special shape. So once I'm done with the number of sides I want, or petals if there's flowers, I just convert it to a shape, and now it's just like all those other shapes. But I had a variety of options when I created it. So I'm going to show you about filling with color. Each one of these right-hand icons has 3 menus. So the first one, this is all basic color. So if I select a shape, which we'll talk about selecting in a minute, and I can put any color in there. You can also do custom colors. It has like a gradient screen. You can choose colors. And the second one, I'm going to use gradients. And gradients, you can make your own, which I really love that. In the t-shirt class I do, we made a lot of gradients. It was super fun. And the third thing is pictures. So you can take any picture and put it in the library, in the classes, and there's a free video online with Craftcast as to how to do that. So I'm going to choose one that I just created recently from a drawing. And you put the picture in there, and this is not a program that can use pictures, but we're going to show you in a minute how it converts a picture into something it can see. But it's giving us a little bridge to be able to use them. And I don't know if a lot of you draw. It's super fun to take something somebody drew and put it on a pendant or put it on a keychain. So for selecting,
I'm just going to say, and take breaths. I know it's a little overwhelming at this point, but.
So for selecting, let's pause for a second. Okay, for selecting, when what you do is you take the arrow on your, I use a keypad, touchpad, or say it's the same with a mouse. You just move the little cursor towards the shape, and as soon as you see the hand, you can click on it and select it. So I tell people, look for the hand, because people are very frustrated when they can't select the shape that they just made or select the one they want to. So you move it over and you click on it. You can also do a drag box. So you start up at upper left-hand corner, hold the mouse down, and then just encircle things, and it will select everything it touches. So that's what we're going to be doing right now.
I think that's the easiest way to deal with things. Just a quick little drag box.
You have like 20 different things, the selecting, and then you can select one at a time and add them. I'll show you that in a second.
Okay, there you go.
So then I have 3, and then they're all selected, and I can move them around. I can move them off to the side, but they're not a group yet. So here we go. I see the hand. I'm going to select that. I can hit the Shift key and select another one, and the Shift key and select another one. So if you have many, many components on the screen, this is helpful. I have some students that swear that this is the only way to do it. And if your mouse is not calibrated properly, that's an easier way to do it. I'll tell you, things with color in them are easier to select. So if you want to add a little color, you'll be able to select your shapes better. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about group versus compound path, which sounds complicated, but this is just a little concept you need to get in your head. So what I did is I drew a circle, and then I'm using the curvy shape to draw a little interesting shape inside. I need to make these into earrings. And then I'm going to do a drag box and select them. And then I'm going to use, up at the right, there's a duplicate button. I love this thing at the top because it really is a super fast shortcut. And so they look exactly the same. And people get really confused with this concept. So I'm going to make the first one a group. You can use Control G. I don't teach with shortcuts, but I do give them to you. They're in the handout because I think it's confusing for students to use too many shortcuts. And then I can make the second one a compound path. They still look exactly the same, but they really aren't. And this is a concept you need to learn to get it to cut the right thing and put the pattern in the right place. So I'm going to show you the difference. So this one is the group, and a group is a bunch of different shapes or 2 shapes joined together. Compound path is you've made those 2 shapes into one shape. So I'm going to go to the fill window and choose a pattern that I like. So you see, this is one shape. It's got a hole cut out. There isn't a separate shape in the middle. It's just got a hole. The next one is actually 2 shapes that I said have to stay together. So you can see Those are two different shapes. So in certain cases, you want a compound path. That's normally what we do, but in certain shape times you don't. So whenever, it's good to practice and watch the video before you start designing, because this gets people in the wrong place. Like, for instance, if you want to pause for a second, when I design a piece of jewelry, the outside line, you guys know, is red for cutting, and the inside line is usually blue for etching. So if I were to make that inside part and the outside part a compound path, they have to be the same color. So all of a sudden, everything would turn red. And then you'd be cutting your pattern out, and that would be very bad. It happens all the time in class. So you always want to group when you've got two different outside line colors. And sometimes, like in the enameling class, we're using, I think, 3 or 4 different colors. So when you've got everything placed properly, then you make it a group. If it's
And
just
that's a great
Yeah.
visual to see what you just did there, the difference between grouping and compound path and what happens. So that's a good visual to stare at for a while, because it's one of those concepts you just have to wrap your brain around, and
Yeah, and
unfortunately make mistakes till you learn.
and if you do something and everything turns red, what you want to do is you want to hit the undo button, because
There you
this
go.
program can undo like 100 times at least. So undo.
And the undo button is right up there, the arrow going backwards.
Yeah.
On the bar up there. And Command Z works on this too, right?
Oh, there's a whole list of shortcuts. I think I put in the handout.
Yeah.
Which are super good, except for as a teacher, I use them, and just a few of them in my creating, but I try to not do it, because I think
no, you want to do
our
the
brains
menus.
hear words better than they do.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. All right, moving on. We've got that. So now you're ungrouping.
Yeah, I'm going to ungroup. And so I'm going to show you it can have a different pattern in there. It can have a different outside color, but I cannot do that with the compound path. So groups are two different things. They're different things. You just told them they always have to be together.
Okay.
Point editing. So this is what's called a vector program. So if you could pause on the next screen when we come up, I'm going to talk about the difference between vector programs and raster programs. Rasters are, Photoshop is a raster program. Illustrator is a vector program. Vectors are shapes that are made up of little points. Rasters are going to be, or a JPEG is made up of little squares. So we're going to see that in just a second. And so oh, sorry.
And there's a lot of, a vector is what makes up SVGs. So there you go. Yeah.
They're little tiny squares. And although you don't see the points in the vector file, they're all made up of little points. And you can still fill with color and things, but the shapes are made up of points. And I'm going to show you later exactly how you can take a shape and it's almost right and fix it, because it's a vector program.
Maybe this makes sense. I explained it to someone once that in your JPEGs, it's exactly that. You see, especially if something got blown up too big, all the little pixel squares. It's like that's what it's made of. In vector art, the instructions are like if someone said, okay, when you go to the corner, turn left, and then go 3 steps to the right and turn another right. It's instructions on which way to go, not little pictures of pixels. Not exactly that way, but that's the kind of thing you're seeing. So that's why an SVG, which means scalable vector graphic, it doesn't matter how big or small you make it. It won't go out of focus like a JPEG will.
And almost, I would say all die cutting machines use vector graphics. They may be converting a picture to vector, but they're always using vector because the blade needs to go point to point.
There it is. The blade has to follow those directions. So I hope that helps. And it's sort of boring. So let's move on to the prettier stuff. We know enough now about that, I hope. It's like, okay. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, Miss Pope.
Yeah, it's just whenever I talk about vector, I want you to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're going to point editing, which is you can only do on vector programs. And you can only draw point by point in vector programs. So I'm going to take the color out of here so you can see little points. So we have 2 modes. We have just regular drawing mode, but when you double click on something, it brings the points up. They're there, but when I double click, see there's 4 points? This is a circle made of 4 points, and it's given an instruction to curve between the points. So what I can do is I can change those points. So I can just click on one and bring it up. I can curve it. You can imagine making earring shapes. You can draw your own, and then you can change the curves. And I love making my own shapes because people say, "Oh, I haven't seen that template." And it's like, no, because it's something I created. So you can curve things down. You can go side to side. There's a lot of ways you can create shapes. And when you click on one, there's a red part that's highlighted, and you can make that curved or you can make it flat. You can do a lot of, you can simplify, which we'll learn about in the tracing program. So it's really, really flexible. So if you get a shape and it's almost right, let's say you wanted to make it a little wider at the top so you could put an earring hole in it. There's a lot of different things you can do. So that's a vector program. So we're going to get to know the rest of the toolbar. We've already looked at the filling with color and patterns. We've looked at the basic page setup. So I'm going to show you some of the other ones. I can't show you all of them because it would take us all day.
That's why we have other classes so that you can learn more. But you also have to decide how much you want to learn. So
yeah, and the version 4 class covers like a lot of this stuff.
Which, you know what, Misty, can you put in the version 4 link for everyone who's asking? Because people are asking which of your classes do you recommend. We're going to give you, for the Silhouette Curio. If you want to cut metal clay, Misty will put that one in. If you want to learn the software, Misty will put that link in. And also, the classes are in the handout, et cetera, et cetera. So we can help you get exactly the class you need. There was one question here I just wanted to grab before we went on. Oh, Patrick I think Patrick, you said you were coming on from Australia. Was that right? Said you do cards. How good is this with doing print and cut?
Really good. And I have made little stacked boxes of paper. We don't have a picture of
we did that. We did stacked cuffs of paper.
Well, that was Susan McNenly,
yes,
who was the innovator that started this whole thing.
Yes.
But I have made little boxes of stacked paper. I have made cards. I have made.
And Shannon did pop-up cards.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So the answer is yes. It's
a great
right
print and cut.
Yeah.
And it's got a scanner that's you put certain marks on it, and so it knows exactly where to cut.
Okay, here's one other from Paul, and then we'll move on. Will the software work on an Android tablet, or is it best to work on a laptop?
You can only use it on a laptop.
There you go.
Now, Cricut is such a simple software that really won't let you do much. I believe it might work from a tablet, but you really need the power of a piece of a
But there's
computer.
nothing to work with. I've used my Cricut to print out from that too, but there's really nothing to work with. And then, and yes, Laura, this is the program to use for the Glowforge, 100%. All right.
Allison has one.
Yes, it's, yeah. Naja, you want to make stencils? Which class would be best for me? Hold all your class questions to the end, and we'll do a quick link and throw everything in there so you know. And yes, we cut polymer clay. We have classes on that. You'll see everything at the end. That's what I'm telling you.
Megs Bonham is the queen of polymer clay in the Silhouette, and she made this beautiful wedding necklace that was all these flowers. And I took that class, and I actually cut my polymer.
Okay, we
wasn't
love
as pretty as hers, though.
She's going to redo that class too. Oh yeah, there's flowers there. All right, let's move on
class.
Because we'll get sidetracked. All right, getting the basic, just the basics, getting to know the toolbar.
Okay, the toolbar is on the right-hand side. So the drawing bar is on the left, the toolbar is on the right. And we did the color filling and pattern filling. So now I'm going to show you a little bit about tracing. And what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in this. Remember, I put a picture inside this. So if I double click on it, there's only 6 points, but you see something in the middle. The software can do something to turn this into something that is a vector picture. It works really good with black and white. There are lots of other ways to do it. So here's the tracing program, and you just click around it. Oh, I'm gonna make it bigger. My theory is bigger traces better. Bigger is better in tracing.
Because it sees it's better just like we do. to
I
trace
think,
it
yeah,
accurately. Yeah,
yeah, I just feel based on all my years
more
of
information.
experience. And I thickened up the outside line so it's going to be black away from the pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say select the trace area, and you're doing like a little TV box around it. And as soon as you do that, you can also trace by color. There's a lot of things. As soon as you do that, all the black turns yellow. And what it's going to do is it's going to create a line around where all the yellow is. And then it's a vector program. It's a vector file that we can use to fill and cut and do all kinds of things. So I'm going to trace. And people in class say, well, where did it go? Well, it's sitting underneath that black and white image. So I'm going to move the black and white image around. I save, in my classes, I teach you to save all your components in case you have to go backwards.
That alone is worth the price of the software.
Oh, it's super cool.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I've simplified. One caveat is occasionally with certain unusual shapes, simplifying doesn't help, but you can always hit undo. Simplifying will make everything go faster when you're etching on metal clay or etching on leather.
But let's pause there for 1 second, because simplifying removes unneeded points. That's all it's doing.
Right. And it's very interesting. Some commercial fonts, which I'm going to do a font class soon. Some commercial fonts, you would think if you bought it, it should not have a million different points, but they'll have a million different points. And what happens is your little blade is going to try
to go everywhere. Right.
Every single point.
Right.
And it's super slow and it doesn't look good. So you want it to be as smooth as possible.
So you get rid of the extra points that you don't need, so that your machine isn't flipping out.
And I put color in it so you can see it looks just like the original. It's a really good tracer. And if I double click, you'll see the points are just where it traced around. The blue color is just a color. It's not going to do anything. So this is perfect if you want to cut something out of vinyl. But if you want to actually etch it, like I did on this particular piece, I took my granddaughter's drawing, I traced it, I designed a little outside piece, and then I cut and etched it on the silhouette.
You know what? And Cindy, seeing that, I know people are having light bulb moments. It's like, oh,
she's a good little artist.
Yeah, but that's an adorable picture. But there you go. Take some artwork, trace it, get your SVG, your file, and then you can go over and cut and do the whole thing. So we love that.
And you'll see the final piece coming up here in just a second.
Oh, yeah.
So there it is. And
what material is that on again, Cindy?
This is on Aureus bronze.
Yeah, okay.
And it just etches like a dream. And I find the creative potential of tracing photos or patterns you make is really, really cool.
It's fun. And this is what gives you all the freedom to be able to do this, whether you're doing polymer clay, metal clay, paper, cardboard, even your SVGs that you're going to then go to the Glowforge and do something. So that's why we love this. It gives so much creative freedom. And I think seeing an end product is what helps us all go, oh, now I know how to do the thing I've been thinking about. So I love that. Before we move on, any other questions? I know I see hearts and beautiful. Yeah. Elizabeth, what did you just say there? Is it only the Curio that etches?
No, the Curio will etch. The Maker 3 will etch. The I can etch on my Cameo 3 and I can etch on my Portrait, but you don't want to go up to the next level of machines because there's some limitations there. But with the Curio, the Maker has an etching tool on their Maker, and I don't think they'll ever not have that. But you really, most of my classes are always going to include the Curio because most of my students have Curios, and people with not the new Cameos, by Cameo 4, Cameo 3, Portrait 3 and 2, and the Silhouette 2. Those are all going to, I've used all of those. I really like the big one that Allison gave me, but the Cameo, if I'm doing anything big, that's
we like to share. We like to share our tools and our toys with everyone. Right, wait, here are some good questions, because I can tell people are thinking, Sharon wants to know, did you put the clay through the machine?
Yes, I roll it and dry it. And they're on Cool Tools. There's on the class step by step with metal clay. It shows you how to roll the clay, how to dry the clay, what clays
How to
to
do everything you
use.
need to know. Yeah.
And there's also a clay rolling video on Cool Tools website.
Yeah, you'll see the classes at the end that'll show you exactly how to do all of this. All right, let us move on. Oh, and Sandy said, okay, Sandy, take the class because it's a little complicated to go into it right now, but she was asking how to tell what lines to etch and which lines to cut. And that's just going into how to mark up your SVG before you send it to a machine.
Yeah, there's really two parts of your brain that you're using. You want to design, and I show you how to design, and then we turn that design into a cut and etch file.
Right.
I have one color for etching and one color for cutting. Sometimes I have two colors. Like when I'm doing text, I don't want it necessarily to etch exactly the same as when I'm doing the ballerina. So I just give them two colors because sometimes I'll go over a second time
Right.
but the etch, I don't want on text, you don't want to go over too many times because it gets muddy, kind of like if you painted too much over something.
And basically, Sandy, what I want to tell you is it's not hard to learn it, but take a class so you get some aha moments and you'll see. It's just calling them out and you'll see. All right, so let's move on now to fill your tracing to etch.
If I want to create that little ballerina, I wanted to show you where we're going. I would have traced the ballerina, but now I need to fill her with little lines so the machine will etch it.
Okay. And it's going to engrave metal clay leather. Oh yeah, we got the leather, right? We have all of that.
Acrylic. But the Portrait 3 is really what I'm recommending for metal clay. It's super light, super low profile, and I just think it's a really good one.
Yep. Agreed. Okay.
Okay, so right now, that blue color is just a color, but I'm going to the sketch fill. You can use sketch fill. If you have a curio, you're going to use the deboss. And what I'm doing is I'm filling it with little concentric circles. So before, when I double clicked, you would see, and you always have to release it, you would see just the outside of the color, but now I'm going to double click on it and you are going to see all those points. So it's really interesting to watch. It has a very certain pattern the way it does these etchings. So you'll see the etching coming off and it's basically indenting every place where it's blue. By going back and forth, we can also do a crosshatch, which is what I usually do with leather because it works better, but it's a little aggressive for metal clay. So now I'm doing a concentric, or there's also a spiral. Those are the two I like to do.
And when you just said you watch it coming off, you mean when it's being etched and coming out of the machine?
It's correct? Like mesmerizing.
Right, because
while it's doing it.
It's going different places. It does figure out the most economical way to move between everything. And that's why that looked the way it did. It's figuring out the best way to achieve what you want it to look like. So magic. That's, yes, or magic. We can call it either other. Okay, so now replicate tools. I know you love those.
This is pretty simple, but if you couldn't do this, it would be a problem. So pretend this is going to be an earring. I can select it, and then there's a little replicate button, and I can mirror it to the right. I can hit undo. I can just make a copy to the right. I can make 4 copies. So think you can make a pattern out of this. There's a lot of options, but I love my earrings mirrored. I accidentally forget occasionally, and I get really annoyed. You can also rotate them. And in the first boot camp class, there's a whole lots of sections on rotating. I had a rotating obsession for a little bit to make flowers, because like Allison, I like flowers.
Yes, you're both flower crazy that way. I was just thinking it's important to know at that point, playing around with the mirroring, the making of a mirror image, the flipping, the turning will also, I swear, set off other creative ideas. So just be prepared to play. And like Cindy said, save originals to the side, because all of a sudden you'll think, I think I want to try something else. And here we have something else. Let's see the modifying tools.
Yeah, so this is a little tool that a lot of people who use the silhouettes don't use much. And I'm going to just give you a quick overview. So if I take one shape and put it over the other, and then I select them, under the modify tools, you can do all different things. If I'm going to subtract the uppermost shape, and it has a little description, a lot of times I don't see as well as I used to. It has a little descriptions which will tell you what it's going to do, but you can weld them together. You can also intersect them. So it's going to say just the parts that are overlapping, which would be kind of a cute little earring shape.
Mhm.
So you can make all kinds of shapes. And this is how I do my fold over earrings that I have a template on at Cool Tools, is I kind of use some of these interesting subtractive techniques.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, that when you play, you'll all of a sudden get new ideas. So there you go. There are tools. So welding, put it all together, subtract, getting rid of certain parts. It's worth playing with, so you'll get other creative ideas.
And in the step-by-step class, really it's about designing earrings. And it shows you how to create your own shape, how to create a shape inside of it, which we're going to learn about right now, and then put the picture on there, trace the picture, and just get it all ready for, and it really, I have actual visual notes. So I have notes that you can print out, you can follow the process.
Mhm,
Everybody
mhm.
learns differently. And a lot of my straight A students like those visual notes.
Yeah. And listen, this is one of the ones you have to practice and play with it. It's just like anything that way. And okay, applause for Amber. She just got her cameo 4. Yay. We love that. Naja says, I have the silhouette. Is it possible to upload a logo or a signature for etching or cutting clay or stencil plastic?
Yes, and the little ballerina, my granddaughter did her maker's mark, and I traced it and etched it on there.
Yeah, just about everything is pretty possible between all these machines and ideas. All right, so let's go. Internal offset tools, it sounds so like you're going to a medical office, so let's not call them that.
What you want to do is you take one shape and you can make another shape that's just like it, only smaller,
Mhm.
another shape that's just like it, only bigger. And they call it internal offset and external offset. And basically what I do is once I've got everything done, I want to have that outside shape, which is the red lines for cutting. It needs to be just like the inside shape that the pattern's on. Not always, but a lot of times I do that. So this is a quick way to do it. So I did an internal offset and an external offset. I call them internal and external because offset, I just think that makes a little bit more sense. And so on this one, I can do an offset because I always like a little border between, if you want to pause for a second, when I make a pair of earrings or a necklace, I make a little border outside the pattern that I etched. And it drives metalsmiths crazy because they look at my earrings and they're like, how did you do that? You know, they can't, without a fancy laser, they can't really do that like we do with silver. So
Mhm.
it just really sets off the pattern. And that's how I like to design my earrings. You don't have to, but, they're nice and smooth on the edges instead of etching right up to the edge.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I can also change the pattern a little bit by doing an internal offset. In the boot camp classes, I'm teaching a million little software techniques. And I have a table of contents. So you can really do one thing at a time. So I'm going to show you the business edition has a lot more things on the left-hand side and a lot more things on the right-hand side. Needs a little arrow to go to the end. And the warping tool I love. I use it to create lots of interesting designs. You don't need the business version. Play with the basic version and see if you like it. The business version makes a lot of things easier and you can save as an SVG. So
Which
if
is
you're
the
a
most
Cricut
important
user,
thing.
yeah, if you're a Cricut user,
Or a
learn the
Glowforge
basic,
user,
or a Glowforge.
any of those other machines, you definitely want an SVG.
Yeah.
That's the universal file format, I'm sorry, that you can use on all the machines. So it's
Eh,
worth it. It's not expensive software. And
Well, they
there's
put it on
always,
sale all the time,
I
and
know,
it's like $50, and it's I use it for publishing when I do a flyer, when I do a picture that goes along with something I put up on Etsy. I'll do a visual drawn picture. I mean, I use it for
Your
pretty
main
much everything.
software. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely we like it. We don't talk about anything we don't like here. So
No.
it has to go through both of us and some other
Mhm.
teachers. So you know what you're getting into. This is really good. Practice and create every day. It is one of those things you got to use.
Yeah. Practice the more, and don't worry about the clay or what you're going to put it on. Just practice creating, and all of a sudden it will get easy, and then it gets fun, and then it's hard to stop. I'm just warning you. We should have a little warning
Fair
that comes with
warning.
this. So I'm going to just quickly show you how I can make 5 different earring ideas in just a minute. So I am using the curvy tool. And then I'm going to double click because I'm going to change it. So see, I clicked on that one and the red is what's going to be adjusted. And I'm going to make it flat. It's not the most interesting shape I'm making. I can make really interesting shapes, but I'm trying to go
I like both
simple.
of those shapes.
So then I'm going to do it on the other side too. And I want to be sure I'm choosing the right thing. And I'm kind of making a kite one. And then you just grab those points and click on them, and you can move it up and down and make it skinnier, depending. You always have to think about size for earrings. I'm someone that likes to be under 5.5 grams, so I have to really be careful.
When you're doing silver. But you could also now cut those out of paper and put them up to your face and see if you like, the size and all of
Or
that
do
type of
leather
thing.
earrings.
Yeah.
I do leather
Yeah.
earrings. So there's a lot of different things.
Yep.
So for this one, I'm going to put a circle in the middle. Then I'm going to select it, and you can center things. I'm going to center across the middle. This is really useful when you're making patterns and when you're doing public sizing things, when you're going to have a bunch of graphics
You don't have
together.
to guess making it centered. It'll do it for you.
No. A quick little class, I'll tell you. When I learned this, I learned it from Wannery Tanner, who is an amazing artist who was the first one to come up with using the silhouette. And I went to a class of hers, and I had been using the silhouette.
This is
And
a lot of years ago, too.
This is many years ago.
Yeah.
She did 30 minutes on the software. She wasn't big on teaching the software. I'm super big on it because I want to create my own thing. She did 30 minutes, and I realized I'm using this software really, really badly. And if I pull up one of my old files, I'd be horrified because nothing was straight. I didn't know how to make things go straight. And
it's okay. Yeah. There's a learning curve that we all have to go through it.
That's why I teach it, because
yeah.
It doesn't have to be hard. And it was really hard for me in the beginning.
Yeah. All right. So now this is great. So you've totally changed your shape.
But I could use the same shape and I could put a pattern in the center. I love like a little medallion in the center of a piece. Okay. And so I should have changed it to a different color, but I'm going to quickly put a pattern in there.
Okay. So we'll see it. Right.
Yeah. And then I'd need to trace it and everything to put it in the center of earring. But it's more interesting not to have the whole thing pattern. Like when you're rolling a texture on something, you don't have a choice there. Well, there are some little games you can play to make it go in the right place. But this is really nice because you are going to put it in exactly the right place. So I'm going to turn that into cut and etch lines. So there's one.
Yeah, thinking of that in silver is really fun.
I love the look of it's very kind of ancient Greece with the like medallion in the middle. I love bronze. So here's something I just figured out in the base camp because this little thing didn't work too good until recently. So I'm taking a little tiny eraser tool that you're supposed to use to erase lines you accidentally draw, and I'm just clicking it and creating little cutouts. Now, these cutouts could be cutouts, or you could turn them into etchings. I kind of like holy things. Number one, they're light. I like a lightness in the earring, and you can do it with circles. You could do it with all different shapes.
That's interesting. Wait, let me pause there for a second. Did they let you change the shape of the eraser?
You could do circles or squares.
That's fantastic.
And I love the idea of like different a bunch of circles going up an earring, and
Yeah, no,
in
it's
the
great.
inside, different sizes. It just like
No, that's what I
obsesses
mean.
me.
It's crazy, and there would be a great design, and you're just using the eraser tool. So
Yeah.
it's pretty endless here. All right, so that's really cool.
So in the boot camp class, I teach a whole thing on creating patterns using the eraser tool. So I'm going to do a little circle. I'm going to show you. This is something I really use often. I like open earrings. So what you do is you can draw two shapes. And remember where I did the modify tool? I'm going to use modify. Let's put some color in there. I should, again, use separate colors for you. But you can see that one on top. It's important to see which is on top. So I'm going to put it right on top, and then I'm going to select them both, and I'm going to use that modify tool, and I'm going to subtract the uppermost shape. And so I've got a little curved earring. So it's really hard in metal clay if you don't have a template to really design something, but you could cut this out of paper and cut it out on their silhouette and use that as a template. So I'm going to use an 8-sided shape, and this I love. So once I've got it done, I'm going to convert it to a path. You remember, special shapes are a little bit different. So I'm going to pull that down, and then I'm going to squish it in. And all of a sudden, I have a really unusual faceted shape. And that's kind of similar to how I did Willow's ballerina. And you can change the points here, but I'm going to do like a little hoop type earring because I like earrings that have an opening cut out. Or a medallion. You could also put a pattern on the opening. So I'm going to make it small enough because you want to have probably 5 millimeters would be the skinniest I would want between the edge and the inside. I'm going to make it a compound path. And so now I have a really cool dangly faceted earring that I think
I love that.
Yeah, kind of elegant. So then there's 4 versions of this software. You've got this free basic, you've got the designer version, you've got designer plus, and designer plus has many, many, many of those interesting shapes that you can change the sides and change how many flowers, you can change petals. So
Wait,
but I
I'm just
think the
trying to
best
go. Wait, let me go backwards. We
Oops.
went past that too fast. Wait, here we are. Let's go.
Sorry.
I didn't grab the mouse fast enough to stay on this step by step because I was asking Misty to start putting in links into our chat box.
So this is the step-by-step class, and I basically show you how to create these 4 different kinds. And you see there's one where I have a little medallion in the middle. 4 different types of earrings. You could just have the shape. You could do half and half. There's just lots of options. I love these easy swing earrings because you don't have to put a hole in them, and they move really, really nicely. So I'm explaining step by step how to design it. And then once we've got all the designs figured out and you understand exactly how to get what you need for the silhouette, then I show you how to cut it. And then there's a bonus on rolling the clay. I think it's my best class. I've been thinking about doing a beginner class again for a long time. And this one, the notes were really kind of complicated to do, but a lot of my students are note takers, and they really need those notes in front of them when they're creating. So I'm trying to address different learning styles.
Well, this is go-to if you want to start playing with metal clay for sure. And you can substitute the different clays. You could substitute polymer clay, I'm pretty sure, for everything that you learn in this. So you're good to go. Let me just show you another one, and then we'll take some more questions. Well, let me stop here. Well, take some questions for a sec. I know those designs are great, right? The boot camp class we're going to show you next, Amber, it's available now. And you explain how to save the SVG for use in other programs. Yes, that's always explained when going over the software.
Yeah, you do file save as instead of file save.
Right,
it's file save as.
Right.
And you can save it as a JPEG. You can save it as an SVG and a PDF and a regular silhouette file.
All in the business edition. It just gives you your choice.
But I want you to practice with the basic to make sure you want to do it.
Yeah.
but I think the business version is really the best bang for your buck.
Silhouette 3 Amy wants to know Silhouette 3 or Cameo 3 machine.
The Cameo 3, the Portrait 3, the Curio 1, you can sometimes get them used. They've stopped making them. So really the Cameo, as long as you don't get into the newest machines with the electrostatic mats, I know that they're still selling the Portrait 3, which would be my recommendation. Number one, the new machines are super expensive. And the software has not caught up with the machine yet. And they're having some, I like precision, and they're having some precision issues. And then a lot of people ask me about the Curio too. It really is 28 inches by 28 inches. It's a very different machine. And so it's not replacing this Curio 1. Hopefully someday they'll bring the Curio 1.
It's not like, oh, here's the upgraded version. It's a really whole different machine. So that's the thing. All right, let's see. Claudia wants to know, when you design earrings, do you like to cut the hole for the earring on the sill or drill after it's cut? Thank you for that question, Claudia.
I almost always drill it myself. So occasionally, because I'm not very spatial and I can center, I will etch a little place where it needs to go.
Okay,
but I
that's a good
never,
idea. Yep.
Very rarely, unless sometimes I'll put a little extra circle on top and then I might cut it out. But I would say 99% of the time I am drilling it by hand.
Okay,
but I'm giving it a place to drill because I can't find the center of things very easily.
Okay, Donna wants to know, why do you use gradient color? Will Silhouette print? Why do you want to know if it'll print gradient color on paper on your Silhouette? I believe the answer is yes to that. Yes. Correct? Yeah.
And Megs has I don't know if it was a bonus or which class it was, but she has where she really talks about the color options. And in my t-shirt class, if you're interested in making t-shirts and designing your own t-shirts from a drawing, maybe someone did, there will be a ballerina t-shirt, of course. I show you how to make gradients in that class. And I use actually something that Shannon Greenlees did a really great Silhouette class on creating mandalas. Oh, yeah. So I used one of her mandalas and I filled it with these beautiful gradient colors. And then there's some special blank t-shirt vinyl where you can just print your own design out. And really beautiful.
We're going to show you a few things here at the end too you'll want to be. And actually, Misty, can you put in Shannon's link in there as well? And just so you know, when you come to crafthouse.com, if you go to the instructors and put their name in, I'm going to show you 1 second. All their classes come up. Here is the Getting to Know Silhouette Software version 4, must have, just get it.
And this is when they updated it a lot. And it really, it'll show you all the tracing tricks. Yeah. And things have changed a wee bit since then. But there was a lot of new things that we could do, and they add new things all the time, which I really like.
And that's true of all software. So you'll always see something new, but you still get the basics so that you're not lost. You can figure out some new things. Here's the Silhouette Design Boot Camp.
Oh, I love this one too.
Yeah, you'll learn tons. You can take a whole Silhouette vacation, just get all the classes, and then. We're going to show you some of the things. We won't have time, I don't think, to get to all your questions. So here's what I want you to do. Copy and paste them, send them to support@craftcast.com. Or maybe it's best, why don't you come over to Chat with Craftcast, put your question in there, because then we all see the answers of the questions and we'll put the answers in there. So Misty, just put in the chat box there to Chat with Craftcast. Come over, you'll be let into the group, put your question there, we will handle it. And that way everyone can see the question and the answer. So these are fabulous earrings.
Can I talk a little bit about this? So yes. I am using something called Photo Room, which is an amazing, amazing software that I'm obsessed with. And Pam East taught a class about it. And I already had used the software a lot, but I spent 3 days after the class obsessing about all the new things she taught me. I was a tortured.
That's a crazy good class. It's a crazy good class. It blew
Allison
me away.
Used to torture me on my pictures and say, I would like a white background. And I'd be like, I have to do another photo shoot. She would say, and I couldn't get the editing right. This has changed my life. But this background and these particular earrings are under 1 inch. I cut the bezel and the earrings with the silhouette. And that pattern that's in them is I have 2 boot camp classes. One is a 3-day, it's older, and the 2020 is an update with lots of new techniques. So this pattern I showed you how to make in I think the original boot camp class.
Yeah, it's great. And
my favorite earrings.
Misty, throw in there too Pam's photo room that she just did, because everyone was blown away with that class. It's sort of just getting a magic wand. It's ridiculous. Changes your life with all your photographs.
And here's one of the first pieces I did bezel setting, and this was all designed and made on the silhouette.
Are you guys getting blown away now? This is when it's fun to see the possibilities and not just be forced to learn something, because it's worth it. I mean, look how great those are. And that's the bronze again?
This one is copper, I think.
Copper.
And so this is a pattern I made, and I put it on, and you can see how that I should have polished a little bit more. It's not my best picture, but it is really easy to cut and etch, and you can practice with bronze, Aureus bronze, or Cypress, because then you're not putting like $50 on your mat.
Right.
You're putting $5 on your mat. So if it doesn't go well, it's not terrible.
And but then you tell people, oh no, I made these. How did you etch that in metal? Like
the metal smiths, just it drives them crazy.
Yeah, makes them wonder what the heck. Yeah, like look at that.
So this is a pattern, something that I drew. A pattern that I drew, and I put it on these 2 earrings, and I just love them. And I made the shape. It's a different shape that I created by drawing, like I showed you.
Yeah, and you see it.
Just really fun.
And taking out the middle.
And it's mirrored, I think.
And mirrored. Yeah, you learn those basic steps today. Now here is, if you go to craftcast.com, go up above to instructors and type in Cindy's name, you'll get everything. And you'll see all of her classes there. Anything you want to know, just email us. Sandy said it's a metalsmith. She's loving these. And let me just see. Carol, what did you write there? I'm doing mostly as a refresher. Oh, because you've not used your seal for a while. Yes. But when you started, you learned a lot by just playing with cutting paper. Exactly. Before clay. You recommend that. We would recommend that as well. I want to recommend a freebie on here that I love. They're some of my favorite beads. The roll-up beads right there on the bottom row on the left. The metal clay roll-up beads. I just love those. It's a free one. Those are some of my favorite beads.
And how to design them. And I have some files I want you to add to that. Someone asked me for the other day.
Okay. So really, really fun. How to do things on leather. We're finishing up here. We'll be done in just a few minutes. There's more classes, doing it on leather, cutting, all kinds of stuff. Okay. I just did this morning because I had to show everyone that, yes, I do cut out of with the Cricut. So I wanted to make a zinnia because I'm flower crazy. I took something in silhouette, played around with it, cut it out, and then there's the little machine going. I did the little sharpening with the aluminum foil, my blade, and did a little.
We did.
I did. I'm just going to say this. I didn't have any problems. I just did it, cut it, made it.
We're excited to bring that to you because people have been asking really for
we can
3 or 4 years.
Use it on the Cricut. So just so you know. And then here are some other things we've done with Cindy with the different classes. So those are Mags's polymer clay flowers. And then she put magnets on the back so you can wear them, or I have a lot on my refrigerator. I adore those polymer clay. The leather journal is a class right there. And Cindy shows you, and I was there with her. I made that one with her. How to cut out, your leather journal. I have it right there. And make the pattern and engrave and do all of that. She shows you how to finish the leather. I know someone bought the class on Craftcast and made a beautiful wedding album cover for his daughter. How lovely was that? And you could obviously make your own little metal clay button. It's a beautiful project. And then is it iron on vinyl? Did I say that right?
The metal clay button, I used pre-made buttons.
Right.
But if you want a metal clay button, Pam East has a book class.
Oh, right. Where you learn to
where you can make your own button. So
yeah, we have it all. That's right.
I'm a little
As I said in the beginning, I'm sorry, there's a lot of fun things to do. But that was you did that transfer and it's a heat vinyl transfer. I don't want to say it wrong.
Yeah, it's HTV, and it's
HTV.
kind of how we did the t-shirts, but Allison designed it, and then she sent it to me. She said, I want the words to look a little bit better, and I want the sizes to be something. So I just put it in the Silhouette software and sent it over to her, and she said it was super easy to do in a Cricut. I
Right.
just saved it as an SVG, but it's just creating the image that you want is so easy in the Sil software.
Right.
And you don't have the option to
Right.
like that. I love that font with this.
And then I was able to open it up, cut it out, and then use the Cricut, that heat press thing that you see, the big.
Oh, I have that.
Yeah, of course. One of those. So just wanted you to know you can do all of that. Okay, is that enough? Did you guys get it? Are you freaked out or okay? You're welcome, everyone who's saying thank you. You'll get a handout. You'll get an email that'll tell you when the video is ready to watch again. And just please all come on over to Chat with Craftcast and put your questions in there if we didn't get to them, because that way we all see them and we'll answer them. And it'll be fabulous. And then don't forget, coupon code is good right now for 20% off at Craftcast. What did we say it was? I mean, I think I have it still coming up again. And it's good 1 week from today, which is April 24th. It's Basics 20. So, and then over on Craftcast, get on the mailing list because you'll get all the emails that'll tell you when there's sales, when there's other freebies coming up. There's great classes coming up. This Saturday is a class. If you've never done polymer clay, take a look at what's live this Saturday, because it is working with polymer clay in a way that's extremely abstract, and makes beautiful patterns. And then you can make your own artwork to put in your metal clay pendant. Just telling you, I was blown away by what Lynn Yor does. Really, really, really fun. So take a look at that and come over. You'll love it. I know, go down the rabbit hole. Come on, we have lots of fun going down the rabbit holes. So
We have cookies. Come.
yeah, exactly. We chat, we snack. It's all good. So
And
thank
ask
you,
your
everyone.
questions. We could, I suppose, Mags and those of us that teach the Sil, we could do a Q&A if people gave you questions ahead of time.
Yeah.
A Q&A.
Yeah, exactly.
I love tools.
I know there's a lot. You know, your brain is like cooked at this point. So it's good to think about it and then have more questions over there. So the process will continue. Thank you, everyone, for coming on. It's always a pleasure. I hope you had fun. Thank you, Miss Pope, for leading us down the fun rabbit
Thanks,
hole.
Allison.
It's always fun. Everyone, have a great day, and I'll see you all soon.